As I was telling, this OAEP technique, that is padding technique, can be only used only along with RSA pad. This is an important point you need to remember. Okay, so how is this algorithm formed? Is I can say this algorithm is a form of fistal network which uses a pair of random oracles G and H. Here, random oracles basically tells you a random keys to process the plain text prior to asymmetric encryption. Do remember, this is an asymmetric technique where it uses different kinds of keys. So how is this formed? This is formed based on the fistal encryption technique, or I can say fistal network, which uses different keys for both encryption as well as decryption part. So this is actually the representation of your padding technique, that is OAEP technique. You can see there are some terms you need to remember here. In this model, basically P stands for your parameter. I can say it as an encoding parameter. M stands for the message. H stands for the hash function. H is specified here. H stands for the hash function. So you can see I have used H of P. H basically tells you a hash function for this parameter, for encoding parameter. Then DB is basically your data block. MGF is basically your mask. So I had spoke about mask. Sorry, I have not spoken about this MGF. Basically, it is a mask function which is basically used to purify the data. Whenever you get the data from padding, it is being passed to the data block. Whenever you get this output with respect to data block, it is being purified with the help of MGF, which is actually a mask generating function, where it basically generates a condition with the help of which you can filter data. Then one more term, yeah, EM. Basically, we have EM. It is actually an encoded message. Okay, so we use this particular padding technique, encryption technique, only for encoding data. The final output of this technique is the data is encoded. You will get an encoded message there. Okay, so we'll see how this works. So you can see this is divided into two sections. This is one section and this is the another section. In both the sections, I can say combination of your mask function is being used here. A mask function is being used here also. A mask function is being used here also. So I'll tell the flow how it works. Basically, with the help of a message, this M basically stands for a message which should be encoded. It is passed as an input first for the data block. Then you can see these all are the inputs which stands for the data block. One is your P, which basically tells your parameter. H is your hash function. With respect to this parameter, padding as well as your encoded message is an input for your data block. What does this data block does? Basically, data block uses this message, applies the padding concept on it, and the parameter for applying padding concept is your hash parameter, or I can say hash function with respect to this parameter. Now I have some data. In data block, basically we consist of data which we get from the message M. Now this data, we have some huge, if I take an example of huge amount of data, so I should filter that. So I'll apply a function called as MGF function for this data where filter data I get, that is a mask data. I am limiting something with respect to that data. Now on the out this mask database, I'll be applying some mask function on it so that I'll finally get one encoded message there. Okay, so input will be your normal message, output will be your encoded message. What is the main function we use in this technique is your mask generating function. That is nothing but you're applying some mask on the data for some limitations. So why is the seed basically used? So we basically don't use seed for all the messages you pass. It is only used whenever you use this mask data block with respect to which you are applying a seed. Seed is nothing but just a key which I am passing to that particular function, with the help of which I am encoding the data. So this was simple about your padding encryption technique. So the question might be asked about padding encryption technique. Do remember this should be the block diagram and you should explain what are each terms and how the message is being encoded. So that was about this encryption technique. Then, so this is all the